Thank you. Thank you. Okay, recording again. So that function earlier, we allow everyone to be able to update name and password and even email just by knowing the user ID, right? So using user ID, you can update anything, but actually that's a bad design. So here we only allow the owner. How do you say the owner? The current user, the current user only allow to change if the current user is the this user ID is the user ID the owner of the resources, right? You say so only the owner of this resource will be able to change the data. So how do we check that? How do we confirm? How do we validate that logic? Mhm. So we need to know who's the current user is, right? I identify the current user, okay, and then first we need to identify the current user. Then second, we need to check if the current user is the owner of the resources, okay. And then finally, right, right. That's a lot. So let's go. You don't need the user ID here. Why? Because we're gonna use the token. We're gonna use token here. We're gonna use a token here to identify the user, because inside the token here, we already know we have the ID inside the payload, right? So what we have to do here is like we need to get the token from the user, decode the token, verify the token. So that's for step number one. And then we check whether or not that user we got from step one is the owner of the resources. Right. So let's go with step number one first. So here we need to get the token from the request, right? So we need to get the token from the request. So here you may think that why don't we allow user to send, for example, update user. So you may ask why is that here? Something like this. Oh, sorry. Is it? Yeah, you can do something like this too. But it's conventional way, conventions that we send a token inside the headers, just like how we did it in book 6. So for example, if you want to update the password, you need to send in the authorization headers, right? So on the front end, it's very easy to send, but on the back end side, so here's the syntax to read the authorization drops. Here we go. I'm gonna say cost token equal request dot headers dot authorization. Okay, and let's say console log it. Then you need to respond with something. Respond. I'm gonna copy this. Okay, so right now we don't have data. We also don't have token, so we don't need token. Okay. So what I did here is just I want to see the token from the request. and npm run there. Okay. So where's the endpoint? Yeah. So I want to update the user. Um, just send it for now. Okay. You don't see anything because there's no. You didn't send any token. I didn't send any tokens, right? Okay. So here's how we send a token. We can go to the headers or authorization, and I'm going to type something bullshit here, and I'm going to send. So on the backend side, you receive a string. Okay. So basically, request dot headers. It's not body. It's headers. Dot the name of the key that you want. So right now it's authorization. It doesn't matter if it's not case sensitive, so you don't have to worry about that. So, but uh, uh, the conventionally they don't send token like this. They send it like this, bearer and the token. Let's go and get the token somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna log in again, and I'm gonna get this token. I'm gonna put it in here. Right. Oh, why? Why is this? Okay. Sorry, what happened there? I don't know. Okay, so here's the token, right? So now I'm going to send this string. I'm going to send a request to the backend, and on the backend side, you will receive the exact same string. So now we need to remove the prefix bearer space here. So bearer, what does bearer mean? Right, it's actually it means that uh, the bearer of this token, you will see the information of the bearer of this token, which means like kind of like in this JWT, you see the detail of the a person of the entity that is sending this token. So I don't know why they name it bearer though. You can name anything else, but conventionally they call it bearer. So I will link you guys to the documentation. So why they use bearer like that. Okay, so here you need to handle the string. So if token, if not token, you may throw error. I'm gonna say login required, okay. Which means you need to log in, and if you log in, you need to send a token or token required, right? Okay. If there's token, we will remove the prefix here. So I'm gonna let, and then token will be equal to token dot replace, and I want to replace this string error space with an empty string. Okay. So now you can first of all, okay. Okay, I'm gonna send again. So here's the token, right? Ta-da. So now we want to use the token to find the user. First thing first, we need to make sure that this token belongs to us. So there will be one more step, a smaller step, 1. Let's say 1. Verify token to make sure it's ours. It's from, this is issued by us. Okay. So if you trust completely into a trusted token completely, you don't verify it, but you only read the payload. There's a chain that it's not from us. It's maybe generated by someone else, right? So we need to run verify instead of the code. And so here's how we use it. JSON web token dot verify. Okay. And here's how we go. JSON web token dot verify. I'm going to copy this, paste it here. I'm going to call user ID, JSON web token verify, and you get the token from here on line 70. And to verify it, you need a secret key process.env.jwt secret. So the secret key has to be the same key that you use to generate the token. Yeah. Disappear anymore is inside the user model, but we still use the same key, super secret. Okay. We're not going to use W. So JWT is still here, that's fine. Right. So now I can construct the user ID. So this function will return true or false. True or false, I think. I'm not sure. Check it. All right, whatever. I'm gonna save, and we're gonna construct the ID. Token. Sorry, it's a payload. It's not user ID. Sorry, it's a payload. We construct the payload. I'm gonna send again. Ta-da! So this here is the payload. Okay. Inside that payload, we have underscore ID, which is the user ID we attached to the payload when we created it here. Right? So this ID, and this is issue at the same time that JWT create for us. We don't have to do that anything about it. Okay. So if the token is wrong, let's say I'm going to use another key. I'm going to use something else. I'm going to use a wrong key. Check. It will show an error. Invalid signature. Invalid signature. It means that the token is not correct. It doesn't belong to us, for example. Okay, so can we use something like this? Ta-da! It actually doesn't return true or false. It's actually use try and catch. So there will be payload and error. Someone messaged me. Okay. If you want, so here's the how to use it. You can use try and catch to handle the errors if you want, right? You can use your own try catch inside the try block to handle the error manually. Okay. So let's skip that. Let's not worry about the small things. So here we have the payload. We need to. So now I'm gonna call user equal to await. I'm gonna use this ID to find the user. Where user dot find by ID, and I'm gonna put in the payload dot underscore ID. So actually we need to use try and catch it. Sorry. Error. And I'm gonna say pro new error, which is the error message. So we try this. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna let user outside, and then user will be equal to await user file by ID and the payload ID here. Okay. So we reassign the user value. All right, now we can check if there is user. If there is user, we don't need this. If there is user, then we can check if the current user is the owner of the resources. Okay. So let's take a look at, let's console step by step, console user here. Console user from 72 and 76. Yeah. Go to Postman, click again, check the terminal. So here's the current user. Current user means the user, the current user that's sending the request. I will call it current user. In a couple of other framework, we also call it current user. So here, current user is the user who's sending the request. Okay. So step 2, we need to make sure that the current user is the owner of the resource. Actually, we don't have to do anything here because we always want to update the current user only want to update the profile of that user. So this check here is only necessary when you want to try to update, for example, a post, a blog, or a book. Okay? You need to make sure that the owner of that book is the current user. So right now we don't have that feature yet, so we can just update whatever we have here. For example, I'm going to say cause allows equal to, I want to allow only name and password to be updated. Okay, cause allow name and password. For we need to remove it first. All right, remember this step, guys. So this function in this handler is very complicated. Sorry, I make it too complicated now. This handler is to update the data, right? The profile. So right now in this function, I will allow to update the name and the password, nothing else. Name and password. Usually you don't allow people to change email because email has to be unique and that's related to a lot of things. So usually you only allow user to change name and password. Just like here, you only cause allow name and password. So I'm going to remove all the keys that are not inside, that doesn't belong to this array. So I'm going to do, yeah, so you can do something like this. If allows dot includes key, right? Allows include keys, then we update it. User key equal to requestable key. Right. And then finally we save. So that's one way to do it. Ta-da. Let's remove this. This only require for updating, for example, books. To update a book, we need to make sure that you are the current user is actually the actual owner of the book. But right now we don't have that feature yet. So for now we are updating the profile of the current user. So based on the token on step 1, we always we are always sure that the information we are updating belongs to the user, because we use the user from find the user from using the ID from the token always, and they are updated, and then finally I save it. So you can remove this one, sorry, update it. You can call this one, and then this one with 2, so this one to be 3 update, and final response. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna update this guy to Ding. That's weird. I'm gonna use this token, right? Put it here in the headers. So using this token, I will. This means that I let the server knows that I am this user Qua 7. Okay. And currently the name is Qua. I want to change to Ding, for example. Where is it? I want to change to Ding. And let's try it. Sorry, I didn't change it back to user. Here we go. There we go. I changed Qua 7 to Ding. I also want to update the password as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There you go. Update to 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can log in with 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's done. Okay. So this using user save. Using user save. Updating. Actually, this one updating. Okay. Do you have any questions? It's kind of confusing. This syntax, right? We already did it 3 times, I think. 3 times. You don't want to allow the user to update everything. Only a certain fields that you allow. Right now, only name and password. And so in this case, you can use document.save. That's fine. There's no race condition, meaning there's only one person can update your user information, right? It's not important to prevent a race condition. Race condition means many people. Is that many requests trying to update or get the results at the same time. So right now, in this case, there should be only one user who's updating his profile. So there should not be any race conditions here. So you don't have to worry about that. And you can use this syntax to update. Or you can use file by ID and update. That's fine too. But if you use file by ID and update, you cannot trigger this middleware for now. This middleware only used for save. We will learn more about middlewares, the hooks middleware tomorrow. So for today, just use save. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. Let me copy this code so that you can join. We will refactor this later. Right now, just understand the logic first. Okay. Yeah. Checking. Are you watching? Wow. Wow. Okay. This is unexpected. Mm-hmm. If you understand, when we are clear on the logic here, we will refactor it. I hate it. You cannot change the answer when you vote it. If you have a question or any bugs, you can chat on the group chat. Let's wait 1 more minute, then we refactor the code. Okay, uh, let's refactor it. Okay, wait, what the hell? There's something wrong in my screen. There's the small window that's freezing. How the hell do I stop this? Oh, no. Do you still see my screen? Yes, that's weird. There's the poll windows is stuck. It gets stuck on my screen here. That's weird. I cannot move it. I hate this. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen and then restart. Stop sharing. Still here on my screen. Stop